Hey YouTube. My name is Richard Underwood, and I've made a YouTube channel before, but it sucked. But now I'm gonna try to get something going. Just use YouTube as an outlet to voice my opinions and my thoughts on things. Um, and I think it, and also I think it beats talking in my room by myself about my opinions. So, because with YouTube, some people are actually listening. So, I think YouTube's a good outlet for that. So I'm just gonna see how it goes. In this first video, I'm gonna make it about my. This has been on my mind a lot lately, and I figured YouTube's a good way to get these views out there. I'm going to talk about my conversion from evangelical Christianity to atheism. Oh, atheism! Oh! That's almost as bad as socialism! Oh! The A word. But, but about 3 months ago, I became a agnostic atheist. To give quick definitions, agnostic because I don't know what religion, if any religion's right. So that's where the agnostic comes from. And atheist because I don't believe in a God, because I'm not convinced. I'm open to the idea of there being a God, sure, that's an idea. But there's not enough evidence to make me a active believer, so I'm not convinced. So I don't know which religion's right, agnostic, and I also don't believe in God. So I'm an atheist. And I figured it was a good idea to give those definitions because there are a lot of misconceptions about agnosticism and atheism, unfortunately. But fact check me, and you will find I am not wrong. But so I was a evangelical Christian for about 3 months, and now I'm a agnostic atheist. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about that. I guess give an atheist testimony, you could say, on my conversion. And also, just a disclaimer: I respect people's religious views. I get it. Religion is natural. It is natural to wonder where we came from and what is the meaning of life. And also, psychologically, religion does have some practical benefits. So look, I get it. I get why someone would want to be religious. My motto is, it's okay to be religious, just don't be a prick about it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are pricks about it. But I guess you could say a lot of people are pricks about their atheism too. So, yeah, there are radicals in all camps, so, yeah. But, and also I don't want to make it personal, but in this video I may say some things some religious people might find quite a bit offensive because I'm giving my open thoughts on what was going through my head during this conversion period. Just know it's not personal, and yeah. Yeah, so I respect religious people. Be religious if you want, just don't be a prick. So, going back at the beginning, I was never really raised in a very religious household. My parents are what you would call agnostic theists. And an agnostic theist is basically you believe in God, but that God doesn't belong to a particular religion. So, yeah. So they never really tried to shove religion down my throat when I was a kid. Like, you gotta believe this, son. Like, very fortunately, that was not my upbringing, and I am very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. They told me basic things. Like when I was a kid, I would say, "Who's God?" And they would say, "Oh, God created everything, and if you pray to Him, He may or may not answer that prayer." Yeah. But yeah, they're agnostic theists, but they never tried to force anything on me. I was very grateful for that. So, so domestically, I never really had religion didn't influence me that much at all domestically. But at the same time, I knew a lot of people who I will not disclose for privacy reasons, but growing up when I was younger, I had a lot of people who were very strong fundamentalist evangelical Christians who I knew outside of my home life. And they definitely, quote unquote, planted those seeds. They definitely evangelized to me. So it's a very interesting dynamic when you think about it, because domestically, very non-religious, secular upbringing, but outside of home, I definitely had a lot of evangelical fundamentalist Christianity. Definitely had a lot of influence on me. So that's a very interesting tug of war like dynamic when you think about it. But nevertheless, these people I knew, not all of them, but many of them were friends growing up at school. They evangelized to me during elementary school. Being evangelized during elementary school, that's a very weird thing to think about. But they basically evangelized me, invited me to church and all that. VBS, like Vacation Bible School and stuff. And I liked a lot of it. I liked a lot of it because, like, yeah, Jesus loves us and all of that stuff. It's very appealing. It's a very easy concept to market. So I thought it was cool, and actually for a very long time in elementary school, I considered myself a Christian. I considered myself a Christian, and I'm like, yeah, I love Jesus, and all that. And then I was told in middle school, I believe it was about 6th grade, in middle school, that if you're not a Christian, if you are not baptized, you go to hell. And I was like, what the fuck? That was like exactly what went by. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, Jesus, baptized or you burn in hell, asshole. Like just such a drastic flip-flop, I guess you could say. So, yeah, that scared the shit out of me. I almost shit myself when I found that out from friends. And because they asked if I was quote-unquote saved. And I wasn't, and I was scared shitless. And then a few years later, about 2 years later, in high school, I got baptized. So technically, a lot of people would say that I wasn't a real Christian till high school because I wasn't officially baptized and the ceremonial aspects of it weren't done. So you could say I wasn't a true Christian, but honestly, who is a real Christian? I mean, if you're the most evangelical fundamentalist Christian ever, you would still find some people who would say, no, that guy's not a real Christian. So, I mean, who's to say who a real Christian is, So, but yeah, I got baptized. I digress. I got baptized in a Baptist church. I got baptized in a Baptist church. And yeah, in high school, I was all about it. I was all about Christianity, and even though it wasn't present in my home life, it was present with many of the people I associated with in high school. So yeah, I was all about it. I loved it. And I was trying to be a very good Christian. I was very strict in terms of how I wasn't like super strict, I was a high schooler. I was a high schooler, so I wasn't like that strict, but I was really putting up a very strong effort to be the best Christian I could. And then I just began to think, I had skeptical thoughts in my head. Because keep in mind, I did not have a very religious upbringing at home. So that fact left room for a lot more skepticism than a typical Christian would have. But I would just I would dismiss it as, oh, it's the devil trying to play tricks on me. Yeah. Yeah, so I would just dismiss it, oh, it's the devil trying to play tricks on me. But anyways, I kept believing, I kept being a Christian, and kept dismissing, kept rationalizing everything. And then I just began to think more and more about it over time. Every time my Christianity was like this. It was very volatile at times. Like at times I would come very close to being an atheist. Not quite, but very close to being an atheist. Notifications and crap popped up. But anyways, I became very close to being an atheist, but I would keep, every time I would bounce back, rationalize it as the devil playing tricks on me. But then it just got to the point where, I don't want to make it sound more serious than it was, because it wasn't that serious, but it got to the point where it was driving me insane. You know, all of these skeptical thoughts in my head, like, what evidence is there for the existence of a God? So I started doing research. And, you know, I watched debates between atheists and Christians. And every time I watched those debates, I was like, even though I still was trying to be a Christian and still believed in, I kept forcing myself to believe in Christianity. When I watched those debates between atheists and Christians, I was like, man, the atheists stomped the Christians, because the atheists were making perfectly logical arguments. They were connecting dots and like, yeah, like they made perfect sense. And the Christians were just basically talking pseudoscience, like, yeah, just verbal diarrhea. Yeah. Even though some of them may have good debate skills, because when you're charismatic, you can sell anything, when you think about it, and when you're good at wording things. But overall, their arguments sucked. And then I began to watch pure flex movies like God's Not Dead and The Case for Christ, and then I saw how bad the arguments are in those movies, and I thought to myself, I'm part of this religion, and these are the only good arguments to back this thing up. And then I just began to think more and more critically about it, and then I got to the point where I just pretended. I even remember it in detail. It was a car ride. I was driving to work. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to pretend that I am not a Christian, and I am going to think about the existence of God. I began to think about it objectively and critically, and I thought, you know what? There is no good evidence to back up the existence of a God. Theoretically, could there be a God? Sure. Theoretically, it could be true. So I don't just completely dismiss the idea. But at the same time, I found that there is not enough good evidence to convince me to be an active believer in Christianity. So, yeah, that's kind of why I became an atheist. You know, and it was definitely a hard pill to swallow. It was. But overall, I'm glad that I just stopped rationalizing and stopped blaming everything that's skeptical on the devil. I'm glad I've just took a objective look at it, and now I can just, you know, live my life as I want, as long as I'm not hurting anybody else. Yeah, I mean, very basic morality when you think about it. You know, live your life as you want, just do not hurt anybody else. And also do good things to make the world a better place for the next generation. So yeah, I mean, that's basically about all I got, and that's my atheist testimony, and before the camera runs out of time, yeah. Well, hopefully I'll make another video. Thanks for watching.